Hi everyone, Pat Winter here of Pat Winter Journals. Today I'm sharing my design team project for Sam Poole Designs, and I decided to make my very first flip-flop journal. I've watched some of my team members make them, and I just sat down one day and watched a few videos and decided to gather up some of my Sam Poole haberdashery papers, printed a few new ones, and went at it. So I tied it with a coffee and avocado dyed piece of chiffon, and it's just a tie, just a kind of a grungy little tie. It's not secured to it. And the digitals I used were Haberdashery Shop, Haberdashery Adverts, French Haberdashery, Noir, Shabby Backgrounds, my collection too, and possibly some other of the collections, because she has several, and they're just the sweetest images, photographs. I used French creams on some tags, and I might have used a few pieces of different kits here and there. So on the front, I used a photo frame who I don't know where this was from. It might be Sweet Curiosities, but I'm not sure. So I will put it underneath when I find out whose digital this was. Anyway, I turned it into a photo pocket, which I slipped this vintage lady into as a journaling card. Put a little piece of lace on the front, and I added a little piece of vintage lace, a couple layers, and one of my little flower pins that I like to make to secure lace. I just tucked it in there because I thought it was kind of cute, sewing themed. So under the front cover, I have a vintage piece of lace belly band, and I just tucked in a little journaling card of tatting and a French lace sample, and then a piece of tracing paper, just a little girl's pattern, coat pattern. Oops. And then I used a sheer trim, like a lace trim, as a pocket because it was nice and wide. So I just sewed it onto this, I believe it's coconut board or coconut paper or bamboo or something. It's a handmade paper, but I don't really know the content. And I just put a rusty safety pin with a little piece of, couple little pieces of fabric and lace, and just filled the pocket with some of Sam's ephemera on both sides. I put some little pieces in here. I like to add little pieces of ephemera to just jot down little dates and such. I think I mention that in every journal. Oops. And I also created this little tuck spot journaling card with some layered laces, and I just put in a piece of embossed paper with the little sweet little girl and a vintage piece of lace. And I add a little vintage piece of lace up there as well, little appliques. And this page, I kind of went crazy. I have an old album, and the pages inside the cover pages, they are kind of heavy, so I wanted to use them, and I love this old grungy look that they have. So I put I put a hole reinforcer on it, punched it, and added a piece of lace and one of these sweet little a skirt pin or a blouse pin or a blanket pin. Lisa and Olive on her website, she offers these. They are adorable. You can see they're just so small, like the size of your fingernail, and they're adorable. And I had this little piece of ephemera that said blouse pins, so I added that. and I used it as a pocket for a few pieces of journaling cards that have tabs for easy access. And then I put a newer little piece of lace, nice and delicate, on this page that I added. I shrunk Sam's little folders in one of her haberdashery kits, and I added little pieces of kind of interesting little snippets of sewing, embroidery, and stitch papers that I had stitched, excuse me, on tracing paper. And then this is just a little paper that you can put your own fabric in and staple it. I guess it should be on that side. And just some ephemera to take little notes or jot down little notes. And this little button I used as a little tuck for, I love this. I have a wooden sewing basket, it's brown like that, or sewing case. And when Sam came out with these, I was looking it up so I could paint it pink and kind of shabby it up and use it again. I can't find it anywhere. It could be in the attic. I've not made a trip up there. Maybe I'll check when I go up for Christmas stuff. But when I find it, it's going to be pink. I love that case. Anyway, in a DMC, which if you're a crazy cross stitcher, you're very familiar with DMC cotton. This is just a metallic embroidered piece of sheer fabric applique, and a piece of pattern paper, and some of the papers, documents, and such in Sam's kit. An old French paper page out of a book. And this is definitely coconut paper. And some more of Sam's papers in the kit. And this is just a coffee dyed piece of paper that I folded the two sides to make a pocket. And I added a crocheted piece of fabric and filled it with, or tucked in, some ephemera, some photos, and a little sample, little sheer fabric sample with a little button, vintage button. And on this side I did the same, only I sewed on a button and just put a cross stitch on it. And the same over here, just the cards. And these are vintage baby buttons that I sewed on, but I did add a cardstock back printed, so you could write on it as well. I love sweet little baby or doll buttons, whatever you want to call them. And I use this little button as just a little tuck spot. Now this envelope is one of my favorites. It is actually from my porch prints. It's my favorite envelope on earth. Well, maybe not mine. I do like Sam's those cute little envelopes, which I actually do have in here, but I love the little roses, and I just thought that it would be sweet to tuck it in here just for a little color, little pop. And it does look vintage, and I love the size. I just printed two to a page because they're not really large envelopes. I love them. I think they're really sweet. And I did add a few stickers just for pop of color. And this glassine bag I just used as a pocket for some more ephemera. And it flips out so you can write on that page. And more journaling tags. And this is a vintage cross stitch on a very sheer fabric. It's like on one of the little sample cards, or not sample cards, but the sample pieces. So I guess it's a flip-flop because then I flip this. I did add a couple of beads with pink coating inside. So you flip this and you start your second signature, which I tucked in one of Sam's sweet little cards. I put a couple little small, or sweet little envelopes, and I put a couple of her small journaling cards inside, and some vintage tatting, which makes a nice little tuck spot. And just kind of decorated this page. This is the other side of that antique or photo album, that nice hard cover paper. And I used it as a pocket as well to tuck in some more of Sam's cards, journaling cards. Some old music sheets. Oh, so pretty. It's in their haberdashery kit. And on this side, I just tucked in, folded over the coffee stain paper, and I put a tiny little thimble dangle on that paper clip and put in a lace sample card. And this, I believe I just randomly got it on Pinterest or Graphics Fairy, a lady sewing with that pretty lace tablecloth. I thought that'd be cute in here. And that is upside down. Oop. Writing space. And this, of course, goes on the other side with the paper clip. And the same thing, it's a journaling card, but also has some vintage mother pearl buttons. And this is a piece of vintage excuse me, millinery leaf, like a rose leaf that I've had for quite a while. And I just glued it on and dangled millinery department with a bulb pin and a little pearl. And this just flips over for more journaling space. Another piece of the French book page. And these are from someone else, but I really loved them because they're all sewing themed. And I just put a small paper clip there to snug it up so they wouldn't just fall out. And this is the last page of the second signature. And I put this little metal, like a journal tag, what's it called? The, oh dear. I can't think. But I put it, oh my goodness, I can't think. Anyway, I put a little photo in it, a vintage photo, and glued it on, put some little grommet or brads. I saw that somewhere, but I don't know. I'm going to start writing down ideas that I have seen and give them credit, because I just, especially when I'm doing a video, my mind just goes poof. So I used the back of these sample cards just to write on, like the lace or fabric sample cards. And then I have, I put a tatted doily with a fabric flower with a tiny pair of scissors and a button. And that's a tuck spot for this, which is actually, I had made this watching Lisa and Olive. She makes tons of haberdashery sewing themed projects and sells them in her shop and on Etsy. She also has a website. And I just made this because it was just so cute how she did it. I just put a little, that's a little lace bow that I used on the paper clip. And it's like a trifold, or well, I guess it's a quad fold. And I put in a lace sample and a button card with some vintage Mother Pearl buttons and some silk thread and silk ribbon. I believe that's 2mm, might be 4, not sure. And in here is just another little sample lace card with some journaling cards on that. And this is just a lace card, and you open it and there's a piece of velvet and a sweet little girl. But I had made this and I thought it was so cute, I just wanted to add something extra on the back, so I tucked this in. And then you flop it and you start again. So I used a sample card, but I put a photo in instead of fabric or lace, and some of Sam's pretty little photos tucked in here for journaling card. A vintage or antique little lace doily that I added a rusty tiny safety pin and a couple of very old pearls. And I used a paper clip with a tiny heart dangling from another tiny paper clip, but this one is Tim Holtz little tiny paper clip. It's not vintage. And then some photos of some vintage ladies and a little paper, tracing paper that goes in this tuck, and this is to represent like fabric. I love that little rose pattern. And then we just have some blank pages for journaling, and another little kind of collaged piece with a bulb pin and a pearl. This pretty lady who's probably a seamstress. I added some fine lace on the side. It's a nice space for journaling. This is a vintage piece of, it was on sheer fabric. I left a little of the sheer fabric on it. A piece of embroidery, and it's just on a piece of pattern paper. And here is another thing that I can't think of that you put on the front of a journal. And I just put the sewing school or the sewing ladies photo in that, and just added a few bits of lace. And this is a very old banquet doily. I don't know if you can see it. It has embossing. It's got a beautiful, delicate little embossing pattern. I've got a few of these left, and I purchased them from a guy who had he had an ad in the local marketplace on Facebook, an ad, and he was real close nearby, and he said his parents or his grandparents, I can't remember who it was, but they had they did banquets. They were caterers, and they had tons of these doilies, and he had sold them except for a small amount. And I got them. I wish I would have gotten all of them. I could have shared them because they're just exquisite. Anyway, let's see. I believe this little idea is from Rhonda of A Little Bit French, I hope. She makes these, and she puts them on cards that you could remove. She puts them in journals, and people can remove them and put them anywhere they want, use them for whatever. And I thought it was such a cute idea. Now this one is on there permanently, but I just thought it was a cute idea. It's just a metal like just a metal, whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. But people use them when they're doing that rosin, or not rosin. Oh my goodness. You know, the hard, okay, acrylic stuff that you put in there. And sometimes people put glitter or tiny little charms. But anyway, I left it open. I just thought it was kind of neat that way. And I do think it was from Rhonda. And I just tucked in another one of Sam's little envelopes. It has one of her tiny little haberdashery stamps on it. I thought that was so cute. And that just tucks in there. I left it open because it was just too pretty to cover. And on the other side, I did the same. Another of Sam's little envelopes that has tiny little pieces of ephemera journaling cards. I love the way she made that so it just tucks right in there. I love that. So cute. Very neutral. Another one of her cute little stamps. And a lady who's probably a seamstress. And another vintage or rusted safety pin with a piece of very old lace that's beaded with sequins. Journaling space, pattern paper. Nope, can't, there we go. I think this is from In the Meadow, I'm not sure, but I love that with her sitting in the field stitching. And then this pretty little bouquet. That seems awfully thick. Yep, there we go. And the other piece of the doily. And this is a small, I can't remember who this is from. I've had them for a while. But it's an envelope that you could put needles in or pins or something. It's a nice long envelope because some needles, darning needles and such, they're kind of long. And then you flop it over and you're back at the beginning again. Oops, which should have this in there. And there she is. So that is my project for Sam Poole Design Team. And I hope you enjoyed it. Oh yeah, I did dangle a couple of sets of pearls on these two. So there's 3 signatures altogether. And it was really fun to make. It was kind of confusing at first, I've got to admit, because I've got to see things done. I can't just, read and do it. I've got to be a hands-on creator. So it was very fun doing, and I thank all the designers who share their videos so we can learn from them. I really appreciate it. So I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.